So here is a summary of no pain, no gain. But in Japanese, there's a saying that if you fall, just pick up something as you get back. And that's precisely the case. Because in life, we make lots of mistakes or failures or unintended, consequence of some event. And I have gone through a lot of that. And as I say, life is a process of problem solving, and the pain I had indicated some awakening experience. So let me try to capture the essence of it, which also may help my understanding of how the computer software AI can work and how my mind and my whole being can respond to those unknown errors or difficulties that we can overcome. The case is my Mac Air. There's a new one, an old one, an iPhone. And let me just try to share as quickly as possible because it sounds perhaps boring for some people, but it's important because what I learned is that I see the same thing happen in our brain. So the ones that I picked up by failure or this crazy, complex system is that the computer has to find a new ecosystem, the way of handling it, so that the things happen more smoothly without confusion. And that's what is to be done, and that requires effort, and that's part of the progress. And on the user side, my side, in our brain or in my brain, I go through the same thing because this is a new environment that I put myself in by buying a new MacBook Air and trying to configure ways under the situation in New Zealand. It took some time to get this point where the Wi-Fi is not so stable and the wavelength is not so good. And therefore, what happened is that I had the constraint, in summary, what happened is that iPhone get clogged up with its memory, and also the old MacBook Air came to the point that is becoming a bottleneck. So like I said, mind and body need to figure out the bottleneck and address it. I'm exactly doing it. And there's a pain and there's a gain of streaming things up. We can just give up and buy new something or whatever approach you can choose. But given the confined situation that we may fall into, this is a good case. And for me to realize what's happening in the world, AI, computer, internet, different machines, different systems, and each has its own silo syndrome of interface issue, and therefore a constant struggle to get better and better and better. So that's one angle. And living in the world, being like that, there's a customer, us, to be thrown into the situation, buying this system and doing this and to do this for the sake of that. And depending on the local condition, the machine condition, or some problem related to the system setup, things gets muddy, not easy to find the solution. What is the bottleneck? How to address it? Because there are so many channels to talk with AI. Think by yourself, buy a new computer, or go ask the friend. But if the possibility is limited, we have to make the most of what we've got. So the bottom line of this has to be proven by the example, actual action, and how it happened. So my new MacBook Air came in end of November, and I had lots of trouble. And then finally I started to run okay. and then to New Zealand I came, and then I post, reasonable number of YouTube, but it takes like a 1.6 gigabytes or some such thing, fairly big chunk, and the system failed in Apple MacBook Air, new and old. There's various failures, but one obvious one was that when I record, the recorded video doesn't show up. So that was painful. And like I said, the storage area get very tight. That's very painful. And therefore, the solution I got is, instead of using the photo booth to create the video, I use this iPhone camera. That's what I'm doing, which is much smaller screen, but I use that. And then transfer to MacBook Air and play with the edit, if needed, with the iMovie, and then upload. And in that process, there are various issues that happen. And I may not remember all of it because there are many of them. And then in addition to it, because of the storage problem with the iPhone I had, and also the old MacBook Air, I have to do something with the storage. So I have to work on the iCloud, and then eventually I found that the Google Photos can be used connecting to the Google One, where I have 2 trillion bytes of memories that I pay $20 a day, so it's not used. So again, I will cut the story short, but for the sake of discussion, I'll just finish a few more sentences here. That I took away all the photos in MacBook Air old and kept most of the photos on new MacBook Air. And I disconnected MacBook Air old and iPhoto to MacBook Air new, and those produced video can be transferred by AirDrop. And since iPhone was full of memories that is used, so one way out is to get to Google One, the 2 trillion bytes memory I can use, so that I had this iPhone photo memories to Google Photo and to Google One. And that took like a whole day. But after that, iPhone memory is good, and this and that. And still there are some issues related to unnecessary temporary memories clogging up the system. But that one I also resolved by disconnecting iCloud from iPhone. So anything like that would help release the problem. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to Japan, and I think the internet is better there. But anyway, what's the lessons learned? This is the interesting thing. What I see is happening in the system world and how application everything is playing the game with lots of inventories here and there. It's against the idea of the lean. So how to streamline, I'm kind of familiar with that because I worked with companies to streamline the flow of the information and inventory, knowledge, and the parts and everything so that the things get more lively. And I'm using the same technique of also the check, act, plan, do, CAPD, to see the pain here and there, the cause of the pain, what's most important, and how to resolve it. If there's a pain, there's a reason. What's the most important bottleneck, and solve it. So it's fairly simple conceptually, but it requires some insight to go through, not to be overwhelmed by the experience of the pain. That's not easy. But the way I did is to go through the pain, just wait and don't come to conclusion of the upset feeling. So I go for a walk and maybe post some videos or, go swimming and stuff like that. So I allocated my time. I could do it. So it took time. In the meantime, I have other things to do. So I kept on going, and there are other issues kind of similar to all these issues to problem solve about certain things, because living life is problem solving, and we create the problem because we want to do something. So the whole system of how we set up, as well as the machines and the software and the AI being set up, is essentially the same. If you want to live better, there's a problem. If there's a problem, there's a cause of problem. And if you find the cause of problem, you find a way to solve the problem, and you can eliminate that. So it's a PDCA, CAPD starting with check going through. It works, AI and machine application and limitation of storage or processing time or clogging up the system. If you think carefully, looking at the whole picture, and little by little eliminate the waste, and toward the end, I think I get to the final opening of this problem I had. So what it means is that machine has to be done in such a way of problem solving, and in our mind and the brain, it goes through the same. Solving problem in this world takes time and energy and a pain and a gain. In this construct of the brain-heart combination, we have the same. So the problem I face is, clogging up my brain, and the flow is disrupted. So the idea of the lean Toyota production system, my first book, I see it functioning, and also the second book, Neutral Flow Management, PDCA, CAPD, mini company, mini-me idea, and the interaction with them, and processing with this idea of the interconnection, Kegon idea, that everything is connected to each other, but there's a way to solve it. And that's the same as Buddha's idea of Four Noble Truths. We have the pain, suffering. There's a cause of suffering, kushu. There's a way to solve the problem, and the last one is kushu metsudo. There's a way to solve it, or something like that. So it's a CAPD, check, act, plan, do. You just have to be patient, determined, with positive outlook, and it's the same thing as living life. So that's the conclusion. What's the conclusion of the conclusion? It is what it is. If you want to live, or the body is functioning to make it happen, the pain is the symptom of not doing a good way in terms of blockage causing the pain. And it's natural. Natural thing happens naturally, and you can address naturally, not with the mind who are still confused. So what I'm saying is that, as I have posted the other video about happiness and feel the sense of flow with aliveness, that's one measurement. The other measurement is a pain realization. So no pain, no gain. So life is a process of going through pain, but again, you fall, you pick up something there, instead of sobbing and crying, you look around and how did I fall, and what's the cause of it, how to prevent it, how to not to do it again, CAPD. And interaction with AI I'm going through, it's related to this story, but that's good enough for me to summarize the event of the day. I think I had a few events already. It sounds like a mouthful, but that's what it is. And the mouthful thing, experience the pain and solving it, it's going to be digested, and then you feel this flow. And share that experience with others, whoever want to listen to, who can relate to, maybe not, but it can happen, it will happen. Living life is like that. And let's be positive about it. It's raining outside today. I think I'm spending time as I could and not in the, complaining of the rain, but making the most of it. May everybody be happy. May all beings be happy, no matter what age. Thank you.